Okay, continuing in the, it's called Din Bas V'Cholav. Okay, there's a new din we're learning, and that's what's called in halacha kavish k'mavoshel. Kavish k'mavoshel means if something was soaking for 24 hours in liquid, it's like it was cooked. So for instance, we learned already before, you take a brand new pan and you cook meat in the pan. Okay, even if the pan is clean, it's still meat. Why is it meat? Because the taste through heat becomes absorbed in the walls of the keli. So what happens if you take a brand new metal pot and you fill it up with milk, cold milk, and you leave it there for 24 hours? 24 hours is 24 hours, not a minute less, could be more, but at least 24 hours. So it's like the milk was cooked in the pot, and therefore now the pot is a dairy pot. So what happens now? You have meat and milk sitting in a pot, cold, okay? But all of a sudden, somebody puts water into this, cold water into this pot, and fills it up to the top, that the meat and the milk are both in the water together. For 24 hours, it's like the meat and the milk was cooked together. So it's bas v'cholav, and therefore the meat is treif, the milk is treif, the pot is treif. Everything has to be kashrut. But that's only though this din of kavush is only if it's there literally 24 hours. What happens according to many poskim? Let's say you had a piece of meat in water, right? And after 12 hours, you took out the piece of meat for a minute, and then you put it back in, and it was there for another 12 hours, it's not called kavish k'mavoshel. It's not called cooked. It has to be exactly, to get continuously for 24 hours, the meat or the milk, or the meat and the milk together, and then it becomes cooked, and then you have a problem. What?
If it's not in there for, say, 12 hours, and,
yeah.
And the meat, you took the meat out, you have to remove the exterior part of the meat?
Well, it depends. If you feel some milk went in through the pore, but technically if you wash it all very well with cold water, it's fine. And then you don't have to, the milk is good, the meat is good, the pan is good, everything is good. Now what happens if meat and milk were just touching each other? You had a piece of meat in the refrigerator, no wrapping around it, okay? You had a piece of meat and a piece of cheese just touching each other in the fridge, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long they were touching. Obviously you're going to wash away where they were touching because they may have gotten something there. But it's not kavush. It's not considered soaking, and therefore it doesn't have a din of cooking, and therefore there's not a problem.
Together for 24 hours.
Again, even if they're together for 24 hours, they're, so to speak, kissing each other, the meat and the milk, but there's no liquid. It's not soaked in liquid, so then it's not considered cooked.
So what separates silverware if you don't cook with it?
No, because you do use silverware for hot. You use a hot piece of chicken, a hot piece of hot coffee, hot lasagna, hot, whatever. So it's still hot, so therefore they have to be separated. Okay, now it's not only about food touching each other. Again, like we said before, what happens, somebody put, you had a milchik pot, okay, that you put cold chicken soup into for 24 hours. So now the din is, the pot's going to be treif. But now the question is the milk going to be treif? And here's an interesting concept, okay? I have this meat pot, okay? It was used for meat, okay? Now I put in cold milk for 24 hours. So now the milk is cooked inside the pot. Okay, so now the pot is treif. But now the question is an interesting concept. Is the milk treif? Now, the halacha is the milk will not be treif unless one condition. Why won't the milk be treif? It's considered cooked in a meat pot. But we're learning last week or so that after 24 hours, the taste is blemished. That means if you take a meat pot that wasn't used for 24 hours, and then you cook milk in it, so the milk is kosher, because there's no real taste of meat, because it's more than 24 hours, it becomes what's called pogum. It's a blemished taste. So there's no real taste of meat in the milk. So the milk would be kosher. The pot you'd have to kosher anyway, because now it has meat and milk in it. So now it's interesting. I use this pot, okay, let's use times, it'll be easily understood. I use this pot Monday morning at 10 o'clock, okay, for meat. I washed it out, it's clean. But I used it for hot meat, Monday morning at 10 o'clock. Now, 12 o'clock, by mistake, somebody put milk into this pot. Okay, now, when does it become cooked? 24 hours after 12. Right, it has to be 24 hours from 12. But now when it became treif, in other words, it becomes cooked after 24 hours. But it's 26 hours from the time it was used last to meat. So now the taste of meat in the milk is a blemished taste, because the cooking process finishes at 24 hours. Therefore, if you took it out, I mean, you don't do these things, but technically, if somebody would take it out, the milk from a meat pot, yeah, after 23 hours and 59 minutes, it wouldn't be called cooked. It has to be, Chacham say Torah says 24 hours, it's not 23 hours and 59 minutes. 1 second. So over here, the point is like this. The meat, starting the 24 hours for the meat, was 10 o'clock Monday. Monday, 12 o'clock, you put the milk in until Tuesday, 12 o'clock. But Tuesday at 10 o'clock, the pot became blemished already. So therefore, the milk has a blemished taste of meat in it. So the milk would be kosher, but the pot has to be koshered again. The only case where you have it is very impractical. The second you finish cooking, you put it in, you know what I mean? It's even before you finished, whatever. That would be a weird scenario when it would happen.
24 hours starts from when you wash it.
No, 24 hours, it depends how you washed it. If you washed it with very hot water, yeah, then you start with 24 hours when you finish washing it with hot water. But let's say it was used for hot meat, 8 o'clock in the morning, okay? And you wash it out at 11 o'clock with warm water, not with hot water. Warm water you can use your hands in, right? So then the 24 hours to blemish it starts from 8 o'clock in the morning. Because at 11 o'clock there was no hot. There was no heat there.
With the cold water you wash it,
it's not going to be a problem. The 24 hours starts when the time you used it with heat. In fact, somebody called me today. Somebody made a sink tray, whatever, and they had to kosher the sink. But I said, but you have to wait 24 hours before you kosher it. But he said, yeah, but it wasn't used for anything hot. It was cold water. So I said, okay, then you can wait 24 hours from the time it was used last for heat. You don't have to start now because it's cold. Cold doesn't do anything. What?
For the same scenario that you gave right now with the cold milk, how is it different if the milk is hot or heated?
Of what?
The same scenario that you just gave with the 24 hours of the cold milk in the desert.
Right.
How does that differ if the milk is heated versus staying cool?
No, if the meat was heated, then it's treif right away.
If the milk is heated.
What time?
Instead of it sits there for 24 hours, let's say instead of remaining cold for 24 hours, it's heated at some point.
In middle. So if it's still within the 24 hours when the meat was used for hot, then it's treif. And the milk is treif. Because it's still a fresh taste of the meat coming into the milk that you're cooking.
So it's only not treif if it's
cold. That's the din of kavush. But you can have a lot of these cases. I'll give you a scenario. What happens if you have, let's say in a milk company, right? You have a vat, okay, where they put the milk into. They didn't pasteurize it yet, okay? But sometimes over the weekend they can't, whatever. So if the milk is in that big vat, cold milk is in there for 24 hours, that vat becomes dairy. Now if somebody wants to make orange juice in that vat, okay, within 24 hours, so again, it's going to be, no, it won't work. If somebody would put something else in that pot for 24 hours, it's going to become meat. Milk, yeah. Okay, so therefore, okay, that we said is not going to happen. Okay, so by the way, this din is, you have to actually, if there's meat and milk, I'll tell you where you have a scenario. Sometimes you don't realize it. You have somebody, I'll tell you where it's very common this thing happens. Somebody has a tub in the sink. They put the dirty dishes in, okay? And believe it or not, some people are lazy. They don't wash dishes right away. Or they're waiting for the housekeeper to come, whatever. And somebody left in a tub, cold, not hot water, cold water, but they have meat dishes and milk dishes together in that tub sitting for 24 hours. So then they're going to become treif because it was like they're cooked together and there's meat and milk in there. So it's going to become treif, even though there's cold water. But that's the only time that cold makes something treif. If it's there 24 hours, then it's considered as if it was cooked. And if it was cooked, then it's going to be a problem that you're going to have to kasher it also. Okay, now, what happens, and here you have another shot, does this apply to glass containers? Really, should we leave this for tomorrow night? But we'll just start it. Glass is unique, okay? Glass is in halacha, it's one of the few cases we have two extremes in halacha. You have a glass, let's say this is glass, it's not, but let's say this would be glass. One opinion halacha says glass never absorbs. It never absorbs. So therefore, even if it's hot, you put hot chicken soup in a glass container, the glass container does not become meat. You put hot milk in a glass container, glass doesn't absorb. That's one opinion in halacha. Another opposite opinion in halacha is not only does it absorb, you can't kasher it. It's like klichet, it's like earthenware vessel, and you can't even kasher it. Okay, we're going to have to leave this for tomorrow. To be continued.